Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. In this video, let us continue our study on some of the concepts of microbes in human welfare. As in our last video, we discussed about some of the household products produced by microorganisms. So now we are studying about the microbes in industrial products. So some of the industrial products are produced by using microbes. So this is not just like how we prepared curd in kitchen. So here the products are not produced in small quantity. So industry is nothing but the products are produced in large amount, right? So whatever the products we are producing in the industry, they are produced in large amount, but those products are mainly produced by using microorganisms. So what are those products? So there are many products are there as an example. So few of the products we are studying in this lesson. So the best example is beverages. So some of the alcoholic beverages, they are produced by using microorganisms. Then antibiotics. So antibiotics are nothing but they are the medicines, drugs, right? So antibiotics are also produced by using microbes in industries. Then some of the enzymes are also produced in the industry by using microorganism. So these are the few examples of things what we are studying in this lesson. They are produced in large scale in the industry by using microorganisms. Clear? So when we are talking about the large scale production, obviously we need some facilities in the industry, right? So large containers are actually used in the industry for producing the products. So those large containers are named as fermenters. So this is very important here. So fermenters are nothing but they are the large vessels used in the industry to grow microorganism, right? So this is one common terminology you have to remember when you come to the industrial products, right? Yes, first let us talk about fermented beverages. So fermented beverages are the products produced in the industry in large scale. So fermentation is very essential in order to produce beverages. So what are the example of beverages? So beverages like wine, beer, whisky, brandy. So these are the some example of beverages they are produced in an industry. So these beverages consist of alcoholic content. So alcohol is commonly present in all these beverages. So how to produce these beverages? What is the common procedure they follow to produce these products? So as I told you in the last slide, for producing any product in the industry, we need large vessels, right? So those large vessels are called as fermenters. So what they will do is, first they will take some of the raw materials in the fermenter. So the raw material what they use for producing beverages are, it may be the malted cereals, or they may take some of the fruit juices. It may be a grape juice, or it may be apple juice. So like this different raw material they select for producing different kinds of beverages, right? So the raw material what they have taken in the fermenter will decide the kind of product. So to that raw material they will add a microorganism, because uh, we have seen that beverages are produced as a result of fermentation. So fermentation has to occur here, right? So to the raw material what they will add is microorganism. So the best example of microbe used here is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So the Saccharomyces cerevisiae is yeast, right? So the same organism we have studied in the bakery products, like in the bread preparation they will add Saccharomyces cerevisiae to get puffy bread, right? So the same organism used in the industries for getting fermented beverages. So as soon as we add the Saccharomyces cerevisiae to the raw material, like either cereals or fruit juices, those microbes started utilizing the raw material as a food material, right? Because lots of sugar will be present in the cereals or in the fruit juices. So the organism started digesting the sugar present in the raw material. So as a result of that, lots of ethanol and carbon dioxide will be releases. So this is very important, children. So when the microbes acts on the sugar present in the fermenter, the two byproducts will be releases. One is ethanol and another one is carbon dioxide. So these two products are released as a result of anaerobic respiration, right? So anaerobic respiration is nothing but without utilizing oxygen. The microbes are digesting the raw material. So as a result, the two things will be released. One is ethanol and another one is carbon dioxide, right? So what is the amount of raw material used by the microorganism for fermentation? Depending on that, the ethanol concentration will also increases, right? So this is a main process takes place in the fermenter soon after adding the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So this process is called as fermentation, right? So as a yes, the yeast is commonly called as brewer's yeast. So brewer's yeast is the another name what is used for the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, because it is used in beverages, right? So because of this reason, the yeast is called as brewer's yeast, right? So nowadays in the market, different kinds of beverages are available: whisky, brandy, rum. So these are the some examples of beverages available. So depending on the type of raw material used for fermentation and the type of processing, um, what they use in the industry, that will decide the kind of alcoholic drinks, right? So sometimes they use cereals as a raw material, sometimes they use fruit juices as a raw material. So that what type of raw material they used in the industry, that will decide the kind of product. And also some of the processes they are used in the industry, that will also decide the kind of product, right? Because in the industry the material undergo different process, they follow different process in order to produce the product. So the best process they use in the beverage industry is distillation. So some of the alcoholic beverages are produced as a result of distillation. So some are produced without distillation. So the processes what they have undergone, that will also decide the kind of product. So the best example of alcoholic products produced as a result of distillation are whiskey and brandy. Wine and beer, these are produced without distillation. So if you see the wine and beer, the alcohol content is very less, because these two drinks are produced without distillation, right? So distillation is one process that is used in the beverage industry to produce some of the alcoholic drinks, right? So whiskey, brandy, they are produced as a result of distillation, right? So because of this, the alcoholic content in the whiskey and brandy is more compared to wine and beer, right? So these are the best example of alcoholic drink, will give you an idea about the alcoholic content present in them. So in order to increase the alcoholic content, they use one of the process that is called as distillation. So some drinks are produced by distillation and some are produced without distillation. So that will also decide the alcohol content in the beverages, right? Yes. Yes, let us move on to the study of one more industrial product produced by microorganism, that is antibiotics. So this terminology is common, right? Because we are aware of antibiotics. So, when we are suffering from a severe bacterial disease, we take antibiotics. So, antibiotics are nothing but what? They are the chemical substances. So, these chemical substances are produced by some microorganisms. So, microorganisms are very essential here because microorganisms are used to produce these chemical substances, and these chemicals are used to kill or retard the growth of other microbes. So why we are using antibiotics? So we are using antibiotics because to kill other microorganisms. So commonly antibiotics are used to destroy bacteria. So bacteria are nothing but microorganisms, right? So in order to kill some of the microorganisms, we are using some chemical substances. They are secreted by microbes. So those chemical substances are nothing but antibiotics. So what is the actual meaning of this terminology? Anti is a Greek word, right? So the meaning is against. So bio means life. So together uh, mean that against life. So we use antibiotic against some microorganisms. To kill some microorganisms, we use antibiotics, right? Antibiotic is nothing but against life, against the life of microorganism. So one of the commonly used antibiotic is penicillin. So we all have heard this terminology, right? Penicillin, because it is one of the commonly used antibiotic. So this antibiotic was first discovered by a scientist named as Alexander Fleming. So he was the one first discovered penicillin accidentally, because when he was working on streptococci bacteria, accidentally he discovered one of the chemical, that is penicillin. So let us see how Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin. Yes, the discovery of penicillin. So penicillin was the first antibiotic discovered by a scientist called as Alexander Fleming. So Alexander Fleming was the first one identified penicillin. So he was identified this chemical accidentally, right? So let us learn about how he identified this antibiotic, right? So he was a great scientist and he was a keen observer also. So one day when he was working in his lab on microbes called streptococci. So streptococci is nothing but a bacteria. So when he was working on streptococci, he grew these bacteria in many petri dishes. So petri dishes are nothing but glass containers used to grow microorganisms in laboratories, right? And he kept those petri dishes uh, without washing at one side, and some of the petri dishes were opened, and after few days accidentally he observed in one of his unwashed petri dish the growth of mold. So he was identified the growth of mold in one of his unwashed petri dish, right? And after observing, he was very wondered because there was no bacterial colony around the vicinity of fungal growth. Mold is nothing but fungi. So, this is the petri dish observed by Alexander Fleming. So, you can see here the growth of mold. So, the black ring, what you can observe in the petri dish, that is nothing but the mold. And he was very wondered because there was no bacterial growth around the vicinity of mold. So where the fungal growth is there, in that particular area there is no bacterial growth. So it was make him very wonder, and he came to know that fungi secrete some chemicals. So because of those chemicals, bacterial colonies were inhibited, right? And later that chemical secreted by the mold named as penicillin. Understood? So penicillin is nothing but the chemical that is secreted by mold. And he named the fungi, that means the mold, as penicillium notatum. Understood? So the penicillium notatum is nothing but the name of fungi. So this fungi secretes a chemical called as penicillin. So because this chemical is antibiotic, it is against the life of bacteria, bacterial colonies were inhibited in the petri dish, right? So he used the same chemical to treat many American soldiers who were wounded in World War II. So because a penicillin is an antibiotic, so it is very effective against the growth of bacteria. So because of this, he used the chemical to treat many American wounded soldiers in World War II. So this was the story behind antibiotic discovery. So that penicillin was the first antibiotic discovered by Alexander Fleming. So it was produced by a fungi called as Penicillium notatum. So now uh, antibiotics are produced in large scale in the industries, right? So they use large vessels, large containers in the industries to produce these chemicals in large amount. So antibiotics, so nowadays we know different kinds of antibiotics are available in the market. So penicillin is one, and one more is cephalosporin and tetracycline. So like this, different kinds of antibiotics are available. So all are not produced by the same fungi, that is all are not produced by Penicillium notatum. So there are some species of penicillium are also used to produce the antibiotics, and some species of aspergillus are used to produce antibiotics. Like this, different fungi are used to get different kinds of antibiotics. So antibiotics are very effective chemicals to destroy some microorganisms, right? So the antibiotics have greatly improved our capacity to treat deadly diseases such as plague, whooping cough, diphtheria. So you might have known in earlier days many people were died because of plague, whooping cough and diphtheria. But now we have antibiotics to treat these deadly diseases. Clear? So the credit should goes to Alexander Fleming because he was the one gave idea regarding the antibiotics. So now we have different kinds of antibiotics to treat number of deadly diseases. So one thing I tell you, so without antibiotics, we can't just imagine our life, because nowadays we are used to antibiotics to treat number of deadly diseases. So these antibiotics are the chemicals, they are produced in large scale in the industries, right? So in the industries, the particular microorganisms are grown in the large vessels to produce antibiotics. So this is the one more this thing benefit what we are getting by microorganisms, right? Yes.